Good morning, tax practitioners. I am Komotso. My task today is to speak to you about Sections 2411 and 2412 of the Tax Administration Act, number 28 of 2011. These sections cover complaints that SARS may lodge to a controlling body or a recognised controlling body. As you are members of either a controlling body or a recognised controlling body, you need to understand these sections and how they affect you when you are engaging with your clients and with SARS officials. Section 2411 provides that SARS can lodge a complaint with a controlling body if one of their members did or omitted to do something with respect to the affairs of a taxpayer. This provision applies to all professionals who are members of a controlling body. SARS can lodge a complaint if your act or omission was intended to assist your client to avoid or unduly postpone the performance of an obligation imposed on them by a tax act. This could be the case if you fraudulently submit nil returns so that your client can obtain tax clearance while knowing that they are trading or claiming an expense on instruction from your client, even though you know they are not entitled to it. SARS can also lodge a complaint when your negligence resulted in your client avoiding or unduly postponing the performance of an obligation imposed on them under a tax act. Examples include withholding your client's e-filing profile, thereby preventing them from being tax compliant, filing their returns late or not at all, or failing to respond to SARS' request to provide supporting documents or to advise a client that they should be registered for a tax type, for example, VAT or pay-as-you-earn. If you contravene a rule or code of conduct of your profession, which may result in disciplinary action being taken against you by your controlling body, SARS can also lodge a complaint when your negligence resulted in your client avoiding or unduly postponing the performance of an obligation imposed on them under a tax act. In the tax practitioner space, this could include fraudulent actions such as using a SARS trademark as the SARS logo on your marketing material, submitting information to SARS without your client's authorization, impersonating your client when you call the SARS Contact Centre so that you can bypass SARS verification protocols, and fabricating SARS letters in order to charge additional fees. If you display abusive behaviour towards your client or SARS employees, I am quite sure you will be contravening the codes of conduct of most professions. Are there any questions so far?
I have one. So, if my client says to me that they have lost their records for a particular tax year and don't have the time to reproduce or gather the documents, and ask me to submit a return, showing that the business was not trading, and I do, I will have displayed unprofessional conduct in terms of this section?
Yes. A complaint can be raised against you by a SARS official in terms of Section 2411A.
What if for some reason I forget to submit my client's tax return by the due date?
A complaint can be raised against you by your client in terms of Section 2411B.
What happens if a client is unhappy with the way I write to them in an email or talk to them over the phone? Can they argue that this is unprofessional conduct?
Section 2411C can apply here. It will depend on your tone and how respectful you are when engaging with clients and even SARS staff for that matter. There is a code of conduct that your controlling body requires you to abide by, and SARS has a service charter that requires you to have respect for the legislative work done by all SARS officials. Okay, let's move on. Section 2412 now specifically speaks to lodging complaints with recognised controlling bodies. You can check the SARS website for the list of recognised controlling bodies. On the SARS homepage, navigate to the Tax Practitioners section. Select the tab Controlling Bodies for Tax Practitioners and scroll down, where you will find the list of recognised, controlling bodies which will be regularly updated. The website provides information on reporting unprofessional conduct. As in the case of Section 2411, some of the conduct listed can constitute a tax offence which is subject to criminal prosecution. SARS can lodge a complaint if you prepared or assisted in the preparation, approval or submission of any return, affidavit or other documents relating to matters affecting the application of a tax act without exercising due diligence. This could be the case where, for example, you understated the income or overstated expenses in a return or financials because you did not perform the necessary checks and balances. If you unreasonably delayed the finalization of any matter before SARS, SARS can also lodge a complaint. This could happen if you fail to file tax returns on time, provide supporting documents within the allotted timeframes, or refuse or neglect to attend an interview on SARS request. You are at risk of SARS lodging a complaint if you, recklessly or through gross incompetence, give an opinion regarding any matter relating to a tax act that is contrary to clear law. You should therefore never agree to assist a taxpayer with a tax type of which you have no knowledge. You can also expect that SARS will lodge a complaint if it comes to their attention that you have been grossly negligent with regard to any work you have performed as a registered tax practitioner. Registered tax practitioner work includes providing advice to clients with respect to the application of a tax act and completing or assisting in completing their returns. If you knowingly give false or misleading information in connection with matters affecting the application of a tax act or participate in such activities, SARS can also lodge a complaint. Here, asking SARS to register a taxpayer for VAT from a particular date when evidence points to the tax threshold being reached on an earlier date, or calling the SARS Contact Centre and impersonates the taxpayer, what comes to mind here. Finally, SARS will most definitely lodge a complaint if you directly or indirectly attempt to influence a SARS official by using threats, false accusations, duress, or coercion, or by offering gratification. Next, I'm going to explain how SARS deals with unprofessional conduct. Any questions before I do so?
Yes, please. May I ask who can lodge the complaint?
Anyone can lodge a complaint against the unprofessional conduct of a tax practitioner, a taxpayer, a fellow tax practitioner, a SARS official, or anyone else who knows about the conduct. Any of these people can choose to report this directly to SARS or to the recognised controlling body of the tax practitioner if they know which body the tax practitioner is registered with. For the discussion at hand, I am going to focus on complaints registered with SARS. SARS has established a governance process for reporting and resolving unprofessional conduct and has a form called Reporting of Unprofessional Conduct, RUC 001, which can be accessed from the SARS website. This form must be completed and emailed to reportingunprofessionalconduct@sars.gov.za. When submitting the form, the complainant must provide evidence that supports the complaint. The form asks for the complainant's personal information, the tax information of the taxpayer, the name and contact details of the tax practitioner, and the nature and details of the complaint. The complainant should also provide details of the tax types involved and the tax periods if they have it. They must provide as much information as they have available.
Okay, this sounds simple enough. What happens when the complainant sends the completed form to SARS? And what does SARS do next?
SARS registers the complaint and then investigates to determine if additional information is required. The SARS official may contact the complainant and request additional information. In cases where the complainant cannot provide the information, or SARS determines that the information provided is insufficient or irrelevant, or cannot establish the basis for the complaint, the SARS Governance Committee might take a decision to close the case. Thereafter, the complainant is informed accordingly.
I would think that if a taxpayer complains about their tax practitioner, they wouldn't want the case to be closed for lack of information. If I take myself as an example, if I was complaining to SARS about a fellow tax practitioner and some dubious practices they are following, I would want to make sure that SARS treats the complaint seriously. I have had instances where my client asks me to do something I am uncomfortable with, and when I say no, they tell me, well, so-and-so will do it.
I think that is why Komatsu is raising the issue of completing the form in detail, providing supporting documents and as much information as possible. Am I right?
Absolutely. There must be proof to support the complaint. If a taxpayer is complaining, they can, for example, provide a copy of the contract they have with their tax practitioner, indicating the scope of the work. Such information could provide an indication of the services received compared to what was agreed. They can also, for instance, provide copies of the correspondence they received from SARS reflecting the penalties that were imposed, and the communication between them and their tax practitioner. Remember, we are having this discussion today because you, as tax practitioners, need to be aware of this. The way you conduct yourself with your clients is important. These provisions of the Act can be used against you if you conduct yourself in an unprofessional manner. Let's move on. If SARS decides that there are grounds for the complaint, SARS will send a letter to the taxpayer advising them of this, and that SARS intends disclosing the necessary tax information of the taxpayer to the recognised controlling body to enable the recognised controlling body to investigate the matter. A letter also goes to the tax practitioner advising them of the complaint, that it has been investigated, and that SARS intends reporting them to their recognised controlling body for unprofessional conduct. This gives the tax practitioner the opportunity to provide their side of the story. Both parties are given 21 business days to object. The taxpayer can object to their information being disclosed to the recognised controlling body, and the tax practitioner can object to SARS lodging a complaint against them.
So, let's say there is a complaint against me. What happens if I object? And what remedy do I have to prevent the matter from being reported to my recognised controlling body?
When SARS writes to the taxpayer and tax practitioner, SARS also asks that reasons be provided if there is an objection. However, SARS also advises that the reasons will be considered, but the objection may not be sustained. If the taxpayer or tax practitioner objects, the case will be presented to the SARS Governance Committee, who decides whether or not the objection is sustainable. If they accept that either the taxpayer or the tax practitioner's objection is sustainable, the complaint is closed, and both parties and the complainant, where they are not the taxpayer, are advised. If, however, the SARS Governance Committee decides that the objection is not sustainable and decides to lodge the complaint with the recognised controlling body, SARS will inform the objecting party and proceeds to communicate with the recognised controlling body.
What happens once the recognized controlling body gets the complaint?
They investigate and conduct hearings or disciplinary processes in accordance with their internal procedure. At the end of the process, the recognised controlling body might find the tax practitioner not guilty, and if guilty, may decide to issue a warning to the tax practitioner, impose a financial penalty, suspend or deregister the tax practitioner, or impose a combination of sanctions. The sanctions are determined by the disciplinary code of each recognised controlling body. Thereafter, they inform SARS of their decision.
So there are serious consequences for tax practitioners behaving in an unprofessional way.
Definitely, this is all in the interest of protecting taxpayers and promoting professionalism in the sector. That's it for today. Remember, SARS is counting on us to do the right thing. SARS at your service.